Do you feel it, warrior? That quiet, grinding friction between the person you are and the person you swore you would become. It's not a loud failure, it's a silent poison. It's the weight you feel in the morning, right before your hand chooses the snooze button over the sunrise. It's the gym bag that sits by the door, a monument to intentions you abandoned. It's the blank page that stares back at you, mocking the masterpiece you were supposed to create. This is the modern battlefield, and the enemy isn't outside you, it's inside, and it has been winning for a very, very long time. That enemy has a voice. It's smooth, it's logical, and it sounds exactly like you. It's the voice of rationalization, the master architect of excuses. It whispers in the language of comfort and delay. You're too tired from work, it says. The timing isn't perfect. You need more research. Just wait until you feel motivated. Start fresh on Monday. This is the great lie of the weak mind. That action is born from feeling. It's a lie that has built a graveyard of your potential, filled with forgotten goals and broken promises you made to the only person you can't escape, yourself. Let's be brutally honest. Every time you surrender to that voice, a piece of you dies. Your self-trust, the very bedrock of a warrior's spirit, erodes. You teach yourself through 1,000 tiny surrenders that your word is meaningless. This is the real cost of inaction. It's not just a flabby body or an unfinished end project. It is the slow, corrosive certainty that you cannot rely on yourself. It is the gnawing dread of looking in the mirror in 10 years and seeing not a warrior forged in discipline, but a spectator in your own life, haunted by the ghost of who you could have been. But what if I told you there was a code? An arsenal of mental weapons forged not in classrooms, but on the battlefields and in the political arenas of ancient Rome. A philosophy built for one purpose: to forge an unbreakable will. This isn't about motivation hacks or positive thinking. This is Stoicism, and it operates on one savage, undeniable law. Action is not the child of feeling. Feeling is the child of action. You do not act because you are motivated. You become motivated because you act. Discipline is not a mood you wait for. It is a weapon you choose to wield. In the next few minutes, we are going to dismantle the machine that manufactures your excuses. I will hand you the 7 brutal Stoic habits that will not just manage your weakness, they will hunt it down and crush it. These are not theories. These are field-tested commands for your mind, designed to build a fortress of discipline where your prison of comfort now stands. Each habit is a hammer blow, and with each blow we will forge you into something new, something unbreakable. Before we begin, a warrior enters the arena with commitment. Prove your discipline now. Subscribe to this channel and strike the like button. This is not for me, it is your first declaration of war against your own weakness. Then go to the comments and write your shield phrase, a simple, powerful statement of intent that will guide your battle. It can be, "Discipline is destiny. I own my mind," or "Action, not words." This is your oath, your first step into the fire. The forging begins now. Let's name the disease, warrior. It's not laziness. It's not a lack of motivation. It is the sickness of the modern age, a plague of comfort, a spiritual infection that thrives on the lie that ease is the goal of life. This sickness is a parasite that has burrowed deep into your mind. It feeds on your potential and excretes excuses. It whispers to you in your own voice, telling you that the hard path is for someone else, someone stronger, someone with more time. It has turned your mind from a fortress into a 5-star hotel for your own weakness, and you have been paying the bill with your future, one comfortable day at a time. Look at your body. Be honest. Is that the vessel of a warrior, or is it a monument to compromise? Every time you chose the couch over the pavement, the sugar over the protein, you weren't just making a dietary choice. You were casting a vote. You voted for weakness. You voted for lethargy. The sickness convinced you that your body is a machine for pleasure when it was forged to be a weapon for conquest. The softness you see in the mirror is not just fat. It is the physical manifestation of a soft will. It is the armor you never earned, the strength you never built, and the energy you surrendered to the enemy without a fight. Your body is the first and most honest battlefield, and right now it tells the story of your defeat. Now, look at your work, your craft, your mission, that project you were going to start, that skill you were going to master, that business you were going to build. Where are they? They are buried in a graveyard of good intentions, each tombstone carved with a brilliant excuse. The sickness is a master strategist here. It disguises procrastination as research. It rebrands fear as prudence. It tells you to wait for the perfect moment, knowing full well that the perfect moment is a phantom that never arrives. Every day you delay, you are not just putting off a task. You are actively training yourself to be a spectator in your own ambition, watching from the sidelines as others, perhaps less talented but more disciplined, claim the victories you only dream of. And what about your relationships? Do you think this sickness is contained? It bleeds into everything. A person who cannot command themselves cannot be relied upon by anyone else. Every promise you break to yourself makes it easier to break a promise to others. Your lack of discipline makes you a liability, not a rock. You become the person who says they'll be there but is too tired. The one who offers to help but gets distracted. The leader who cannot lead because they cannot even lead themselves out of bed in the morning. The poison of excuses doesn't just corrode your own soul. It weakens the very foundation of the trust others place in you. You cannot be a pillar for your tribe if your own spine is made of jelly. This sickness breeds in the swamp of modern culture. The world is a 24/7 delivery service for cheap dopamine. Your phone, the streaming services, the algorithm, they are all designed with one purpose: to keep you comfortable, distracted, and weak. They are the enablers of your inner enemy. They offer you a constant, endless stream of effortless pleasure, conditioning you to recoil from anything that requires even a shred of effort. Comfort is the drug, and the dealers are everywhere. They whisper, "You deserve a break. Don't be so hard on yourself." And like any good addict, you believe them, trading the long-term fire of achievement for the fleeting warmth of distraction. The true enemy, the general of this internal war, is the voice of rationalization. It is the most sophisticated traitor you will ever face because it uses your own intelligence against you. It doesn't scream, it reasons. It builds airtight, logical cases for your surrender. You had a long day. You've earned this rest. One day off won't kill your progress. You need to be in the right headspace to do your best work. It is a master lawyer arguing on behalf of your weakness, and it has never lost a case because you have always been both the judge and the jury, eager to be convinced. You must understand, warrior, this voice is not you. It is a saboteur that has hijacked your command center. And here is the cruelest diagnosis of all, the final devastating cost of this sickness. It's not the flabby body or the empty bank account or the strained relationships. Those are merely symptoms. The real disease is the systematic annihilation of your self-trust. With every excuse you accept, with every battle you forfeit before it begins, you are teaching yourself a single, brutal lesson. I cannot rely on myself. My word is hollow. My commitments are suggestions. You erode the very bedrock of your character until nothing is left but a hollow man, a hollow woman, haunted by the ghost of the warrior they were meant to be. This is the quiet hell you've been living in, the gnawing, deep-seated knowledge that the one person you should be able to count on always is the one person you can't. But this sickness, this plague of the will, do you think you are the first to suffer from it? Do you believe your struggle is a unique product of the digital age? That is the final, most insidious lie. Your weakness tells you that your battle is special. It is not. The Stoics, men who were generals, senators, and slaves, diagnosed this very disease 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, wrestled this same demon in his tent on the cold frontiers of Germania. Seneca fought it in the corrupt heart of the Roman court. Epictetus, a crippled slave, conquered it when he had nothing else to his name. They saw this enemy not as a personal failing, but as the default state of the untrained human mind. Your weakness is not new, warrior. It is ancient, and so is the weapon to destroy it. The diagnosis begins with a brutal, simple truth that serves as the bedrock of all Stoic power. You are tormented not by events, but by your judgment of them. The feeling of being too tired, the thought that you lack motivation, these are not commands from the gods. They are internal weather patterns, and you have been acting like a farmer who refuses to plant his crops because he doesn't feel like it's sunny enough. The Stoics taught that the universe is split into two domains, that which is outside your control and that which is within it. Your feelings, your energy levels, your fleeting moods, they are outside your control. They are fickle, unreliable servants. Your choice, your will, your decision to act, that is the only thing in the universe you truly own. Every excuse you make is a willing surrender of your kingdom, handing the crown to the most untrustworthy advisor in your court, your feelings. The Stoics had a name for the raw data that enters your mind, an impression. The thought, I should go to the gym, but I'm exhausted, is merely an impression. It is a neutral piece of information. The sickness, the point of failure, occurs in the next microsecond. When you give assent, you look at that impression and you stamp it with your approval. You agree with it. You say, yes, that is true, I am too tired, action is impossible. You have taken a suggestion from a traitor and made it your reality. Marcus Aurelius knew this. He wrote to himself, your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought. For years, you have held thoughts of surrender, and your mind has become a swamp of weakness. The first act of a warrior is to treat every excuse-laden impression not as a truth, but as a spy at the gates, to be interrogated and executed. This leads us to the twin tyrants that the modern world has taught you to worship: pleasure and pain. Seneca said it best, the man who is a slave to his senses is the most miserable of slaves. Your culture has engineered an environment of maximum comfort. It has taught you that discomfort is an emergency, that friction is a flaw in the system, that the path of least resistance is the path of enlightenment. This is a catastrophic lie. The Stoics understood that voluntary hardship is not a punishment. It is the forge. It is the training ground for the soul. Every time you choose the couch over the workout, the cheap dopamine of a screen over the hard-won satisfaction of creation, you are not just making a choice for the moment. You are casting a vote. You are teaching your very nervous system that comfort is your master, and you are its willing slave. And what is the master excuse that this slave whispers? Tomorrow. I will start tomorrow, Monday, the first of the month. This is the ultimate expression of human arrogance. To utter the word tomorrow as a promise is to assume that a tomorrow is owed to you. The Stoics had a remedy for this delusion, a phrase they kept on their lips like a prayer and a threat: memento mori. Remember that you must die. This is not a morbid obsession with death. It is the ultimate fuel for life. It is the blowtorch that incinerates the flimsy excuse of later. Epictetus would demand of his students, how long? Are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? You do not have infinite time, warrior. The clock of your life is not waiting for you to feel motivated. Every moment you trade for an excuse is a moment stolen from your destiny, gone forever. The Stoics called the command center of your mind the hegemonikon, your ruling faculty. This is the seat of your reason, your choice, your will. Years of accepting excuses has led to a coup. Your ruling faculty has been overthrown. It no longer serves your highest purpose. It serves your lowest appetites. Your own intelligence, the most potent weapon in your arsenal, has been turned against you. It no longer strategizes for victory. It architects brilliant, logical, compelling arguments for your own surrender. The Stoic path is not about finding a new motivation hack. It is about launching a counter-insurgency. It is about taking back your own throne, reclaiming your command center, and reminding your mind who is in charge. So, here is the final liberating diagnosis. This weakness you feel, this constant negotiation with your own potential, is not a flaw in your character. It is not a genetic defect. It is the result of a failed philosophy. You have been operating on a corrupt code that tells you to follow your feelings. The Stoics offer a new operating system, one forged in the fires of reality. It states that your choices create your feelings, not the other way around. This is the most terrifying and empowering truth you will ever face. Terrifying because it means there is no one to blame. The prison you are in was built brick by brick with your own hands. But it is empowering because it means you hold the sledgehammer. The weakness is not an entity. It is a series of choices, and you, warrior, can begin to choose differently. Right now. So we begin with the first brutal law of the Stoic warrior, the bedrock upon which your new empire of the self will be built. You will burn this into the deepest circuits of your mind until it becomes more real than the feeling of fatigue in your bones or the whisper of doubt in your ear. The law is this: the will moves the flesh. The flesh does not dictate to the will. This is not a suggestion. It is not a motivational quote. It is the fundamental physics of a disciplined life. Every excuse you have ever made, every surrender to comfort, has been a violation of this sacred command. You have allowed the servant, your body, with its fleeting aches and lazy impulses, to give orders to the master, your will. For your entire life, you have operated under a tyrant's rule, and you have mistaken that tyrant for yourself. That tyrant is the shifting weather of your emotions. You have waited for the feeling of motivation to grant you permission to act. You have consulted the oracle of your energy levels before deciding whether to honor your own commitments. This is the logic of a slave. You have inverted the chain of command. You have allowed the lowest, most fickle and most cowardly part of your nature to sit on the throne of your mind, while your true ruling faculty, your reasoned choice, your will, has been locked in the dungeon, begging for an audience. Today, that coup ends. We are here to restore the rightful king. Understand this, warrior, and it will change everything. Motivation is not the spark that ignites the engine. It is the heat that comes off the engine once it is already running. You have been waiting for the heat, refusing to turn the key. Action is the key. The simple, physical, brute force act of beginning is what creates the chemical cascade in your brain that you later label as motivation. The feeling of power doesn't come before the first push-up. It comes after. The surge of creativity doesn't come before you write the first sentence. It is the reward for having written it. You have been trying to harvest a crop you refuse to plant. The first brutal law commands you to stop waiting for the harvest and start breaking the soil right now, with or without the permission of your feelings. Let's make this real. The alarm rings. The voice of rationalization begins its sermon. You're sore from 2 days ago. Sleep is recovery. Just 10 more minutes. The old you would listen. You would negotiate. The warrior who lives by the first law does not negotiate with terrorists. The will issues a single non-negotiable command. Feet, floor, now. It doesn't command you to feel ready. It doesn't command you to be excited for the workout. It commands a simple physical action, and in the moment your feet touch the cold floor, the entire balance of power shifts. You have obeyed the will, not the weakness. You have proven in that first second of the day who is in command. The flesh has been reminded of its place. Think of your will as a cold engine. It does not start because it feels warm. It becomes warm because you have the courage to start it. That first action, standing up, putting on one running shoe, opening the laptop, is the violent mechanical turnover of that engine. It is loud, it is difficult, it shakes everything, but it is the only thing that generates heat. Every excuse is an argument for letting the engine stay cold. Every surrender to comfort is a decision to let rust grow where power should be. The first law is your commitment to turn the key every single time, especially when it's cold, especially when you don't feel like it. Because a warrior knows that momentum is not found. It is forged in the friction of that first defiant act. This is the true meaning of discipline. It is not the art of feeling good about doing hard things. It is the art of decoupling your actions from your feelings entirely. It is the supreme loyalty to a command you gave yourself in a moment of clarity, and the refusal to let a lesser version of yourself, the tired, scared, comfortable version, betray that command. Your feelings are chaotic, unreliable weather patterns. Your will is the mountain. The weather rages, but the mountain does not move. The first brutal law teaches you to become the mountain, to observe the storm of "I don't feel like it," and to act anyway, not out of spite for the feeling, but out of a sublime and total indifference to it. So this is your first weapon, your foundational command. Engrave it on the inside of your skull. The will moves the flesh. The flesh does not dictate to the will. Repeat it when the alarm clock rings. Repeat it when the couch calls to you. Repeat it when the blank page mocks you. This is the law that starves your excuses of oxygen. It is the principle that breaks the chains of emotional slavery. All the other habits we will forge are built upon this granite foundation. Master this, and you have already won the most important battle. You have taken back your own throne. Now the theory is over. The philosophy is forged. It's time to carry the weapon into battle. This is where the armor is tested, where the steel meets the stone of the real world. A law is useless if it stays on a scroll. We are going to take the first brutal law, the will moves the flesh, and we are going to apply it like a cauterizing brand to the open wounds of your daily life. This is not an intellectual exercise, warrior. This is a field manual for the war you fight every single day against laziness, against anger, against fear, and against pain. This is where the transformation begins. This is where you stop being a student of philosophy and start becoming a weapon of the will. The first battleground is the most common and the most treacherous, the couch, the war against inertia. Picture it. You've had a brutal day, your energy is drained, your mind is fried. You collapse onto the sofa and the siren song of cheap comfort begins. The TV, the phone, the endless scroll, the gym bag sits in the corner, mocking you, and then the voice of rationalization, the master strategist of surrender, begins its assault. You earned this rest, it whispers. Recovery is part of the process. You'll be stronger tomorrow if you rest today. Don't be an extremist. It's a perfect logical argument, and it is a lie from the pit of hell. The old you would negotiate. The warrior applies the law. You do not command yourself to get motivated. You issue one simple physical command. Put on your left running shoe. That's it. Not the whole uniform, not the whole workout. Just one tiny, undeniable act. In the second, your hand touches that shoe, the entire reality of the situation shifts. The argument is over. The flesh has obeyed the will. The excuse, which thrived in the abstract, is starved of oxygen in the face of concrete action. Next, the battlefield of anger. You're in traffic, and someone cuts you off with arrogant disregard. You're in a meeting, and a colleague belittles your idea. The animal brain screams for retaliation. A surge of hot, red adrenaline floods your system. The voice of rationalization becomes a war hawk. He disrespected you. You have to put him in his place. Show him you're not weak. It justifies the rage, giving you permission to become its slave. The untrained mind is a puppet on the strings of its own chemistry. The Stoic warrior applies the law. The command is not calm down. That is a negotiation with a storm. The command is physical. Breathe out slowly, or unclench your fists, or take one step back from the keyboard. The will bypasses the emotion and seizes control of the flesh. In that single, deliberate physical act, you create a space, a gap, a moment where your ruling faculty can reassert command. You have not suppressed the anger, you have refused to become its instrument. Now, we enter the forge of pain. You are in the middle of the workout. Your muscles are screaming, your lungs are burning. Every fiber of your being is begging you to stop. This is where the body attempts its own coup d'etat. The voice of rationalization now disguises itself. As a concerned physician, this is too much. You're going to get injured. Listen to your body. It presents surrender as wisdom. But the warrior knows the difference between the signal of discomfort and the command of the will. The law is applied with surgical precision. The command is not finish the entire set. It is do one more rep. You narrow the entire universe down to that single possible action. You teach your body on a cellular level that its protests are merely data points for the will to consider, not marching orders to be obeyed. This is how you build resilience, not by ignoring pain, but by showing it who is in command. We face the ghost of fear, the blank page, the blinking cursor, the business plan you need to write, the difficult conversation you need to have. Procrastination is not laziness, it is fear wearing a mask. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough. The voice of rationalization becomes the master librarian, burying you in justifications for delay. You need more research. You're not inspired yet. The conditions aren't perfect. It builds a fortress of preparation to protect you from the terror of actually beginning. The warrior applies the law with brutal simplicity. The command, write one bad sentence, or open the email and type the person's name, or pick up the phone. The goal is not to succeed. The goal is to act, to move the flesh. The moment your fingers move, the ghost of fear begins to dissipate. It cannot survive contact with the physical world. It thrives only in the haunted house of your thoughts. You break the spell with the smallest possible motion. And in these battles, against the couch, the insult, the pain, the blank page, you will make the single most liberating discovery of your life. You will see the enemy for what he truly is. The voice of rationalization, this great and terrible tyrant that has ruled your life, is a fraud. It is a colossal, magnificent bluff. Its power is absolute in the moments before you act. It can build empires of logic and cathedrals of fear in your mind. But the instant your will moves your flesh, it vanishes. It evaporates like smoke. It has no power over the present moment of action. It is a general with no soldiers, a king with no kingdom. You have not been fighting a dragon, warrior. You have been running from your own shadow. This discovery changes everything. It is the key that unlocks your own cage. Discipline ceases to be a mythical quality you must somehow find. It becomes what it always was, a series of simple physical choices. You stop trying to win arguments with yourself. You stop waiting for a feeling to grant you permission to live your own life. Your identity begins to be forged anew, not in the fire of your intentions, but in the cold, hard steel of your actions. You are no longer the person who wants to be fit. You are the person who puts on their shoes. You are no longer the person who dreams of writing a book. You are the person who writes one bad sentence. You start to earn your own respect, the only validation that can ever build an unshakable soul. You are not mastering your excuses. You are simply choosing your destiny, one defiant action at a time. And so, a new reality begins to crystallize around you, warrior. It doesn't arrive with a thunderclap or a chorus of angels. It arrives in the quiet, brutal silence of your own mind. The alarm rings, and where a frantic negotiation once raged, there is now only a calm, cold command. The voice of rationalization, that once powerful tyrant, is now a ghost, a whisper in a forgotten language. It may still try to speak, but you no longer hear it. Action is your native tongue now. You rise, not because you feel rested, but because you are the one who gives the orders. This is the first taste of true sovereignty, the silence where the excuses used to live. Look in the mirror. The reflection is different, not because of a few pounds lost or a bit of muscle gained. Those are just the crude byproducts. The change is in your eyes. The haunted look of the man who constantly betrays himself is gone. In its place is the cold, clear gaze of someone who keeps their own word. Your body is no longer a storage unit for comfort and regret. It is a testament. Every sore muscle is a medal of honor. Every bead of sweat is a purification. You stop seeing your physical form as something to be indulged and start seeing it for what it is. The armor of your will, forged daily in the fires of chosen hardship. You are no longer at war with your body. You are its undisputed commander. Your work transforms from a source of anxiety into an arena of conquest. The blank page no longer holds terror. It holds opportunity. The difficult project no longer inspires procrastination. It demands execution. You stop waiting for the muse of inspiration, that fickle goddess of the weak, and you become the muse yourself. You discover that creativity is not a feeling to be waited for, but a muscle to be worked. Your output becomes relentless, consistent, powerful. You are no longer the dreamer who talks about the empire he will build. You are the stonemason, laying one perfect, disciplined brick at a time, every single day. The empire, you realize, is not the destination. The building is the empire. This newfound integrity bleeds into every corner of your life. Your relationships are reforged. The old you was a man of shifting sands, full of good intentions, but unreliable in practice. You were a liability disguised as a friend, a partner, a leader. Now you are a rock. Your word becomes granite. When you say you will do something, it is not a suggestion, it is a prophecy. People, your family, your team, your tribe, begin to feel this change not in what you say, but in the unshakable certainty of your presence. You become a source of order in a world of chaos, not because you control others, but because you have achieved the far harder task of controlling yourself. You will discover the great paradox of freedom. The old you believed freedom was the absence of rules, the ability to follow every whim and impulse. You were a slave to every passing mood, every pang of hunger, every call of the couch. That was not freedom. It was the most sophisticated prison ever designed. The warrior learns that true freedom is the opposite. It is freedom from your own weakness. It is freedom from the tyranny of your appetites. Discipline is not the cage. Discipline is the key. Every act of self-control, every choice for the harder path is an act of liberation, breaking one more link in the chains that once bound you to your lesser self. The world outside you begins to look different. The constant bombardment of cheap dopamine, the endless scroll, the binge-worthy shows, the algorithmically perfected distractions loses its power. You see it for what it is, a tranquilizer for the soul, a poison designed to keep you fat, weak, and compliant. It no longer tempts you, it disgusts you. You move through the modern world not as a mindless consumer, but as a warrior on a mission. Your attention becomes a sharpened spear, not a scattered net. You are no longer a victim of your environment. You are a force of nature that bends the environment to your will. And finally, you understand. This transformation was not an act of addition, but of subtraction. You did not gain discipline. You stripped away the layers of lies, comfort, and rationalization that were smothering the warrior who was there all along. The person you are becoming is not a new creation, it is an excavation. It is the real you, the one who was buried beneath a lifetime of broken promises. You didn't learn a secret to overcome your excuses. You learned the brutal truth. Excuses are just choices in disguise, and for the first time, you are choosing your destiny. One relentless, unforgiving, and glorious action at a time. Talk is cheap, warrior. Philosophy is worthless if it remains in your head. Now we forge the weapon. We take this abstract power and we give it a razor's edge. This is not a life hack. This is a combat protocol. A ritual to be deployed the instant the enemy, the voice of rationalization, is spotted on the battlefield of your mind. We call it the rule of first action. It is the simplest and most devastatingly effective weapon you will ever wield against your own weakness. Its power lies in its brutal simplicity. It does not engage the enemy in a lengthy debate. It does not wait for a strategic advantage. It bypasses the argument entirely and strikes at the heart of the enemy's supply line, your inertia. Here is the fundamental principle upon which this ritual is built. Excuses are creatures of the mind. They are ghosts that live in the realm of thought, speculation, and negotiation. They are powerful there. They can build empires of logic and fear in the abstract, but they are utterly powerless in the physical world. They cannot survive contact with reality. The rule of first action is your tool for dragging the battle out of the treacherous terrain of your mind and onto the solid ground of the physical. You will stop trying to win the argument against your weakness. You will simply make the argument irrelevant through immediate, decisive motion. You are going to starve the ghost by feeding the warrior. This protocol has 3 commands. Burn them into your brain. They are your new instinct. First, detect. You must become a sentinel at the gates of your mind. The very instant you hear the whisper of an excuse, "I'm too tired. I'll start tomorrow. I'm not in the right mood," that is the signal. The enemy has been sighted. Do not engage. Do not argue. Simply acknowledge. There it is. Second, isolate. Your mind will immediately jump to the enormity of the full task, the hour-long workout, the 5-page report. This is the enemy's trick to make action seem impossible. Your command is to reject this. A vision. Isolate the smallest, most laughably simple physical action that begins the sequence. Not go to the gym. Not even get dressed for the gym. It is put on your left sock. That is the mission. Nothing more. Third, execute. Before the next thought can form, before the debate can begin, you move your flesh. You execute the isolated action with the cold, unthinking obedience of a soldier following an order. The goal is not to complete the workout. The goal is to put on the sock. Let's deploy this on the battlefield. You are home from a draining day. You collapse on the couch. The gym bag is a silent accusation in the corner. You detect the voice. You've earned a rest. Just skip today. You do not argue. You isolate the first action. Stand up. That's it. That is the entire mission for this moment. And then you execute. You push yourself off the couch and stand. In that single 2-second act, the entire universe has shifted. The negotiation is over. You have obeyed the will, not the weakness. The power of the excuse, which was absolute while you were sitting, has been shattered. From this new position of strength, you issue the next command. Walk to the gym bag. Then pick it up. You are no longer fighting a war. You are winning a series of single, undeniable skirmishes. This weapon is universal. The project you're procrastinating on? The voice says, you don't have enough good ideas yet. You detect. You isolate the first action. Open the laptop. You execute. The voice screams, you don't know where to start. You detect, you isolate, create a new blank document, you execute. The blinking cursor mocks you. The voice whispers, you're going to fail. You detect, you isolate. Type one word, any word, even a stupid one. You execute. You see the pattern, warrior? The great terrifying monster of writing the report is slain not by a heroic charge, but by 1,000 tiny, obedient and relentless cuts. You are not trying to conquer the mountain in one leap. You are taking the first indisputable step. This is your homework. This is your first true drill. Over the next 24 hours, you will have an opportunity to use this weapon. The enemy will appear. When it does, you will not think, you will not plan, you will not get motivated, you will run the protocol. Detect, isolate, execute. Your only goal is to prove to yourself that the tyrant in your head is a colossal fraud, that its power is a bluff. Win this one, small engagement. Go to war with a single excuse and watch it evaporate in the face of the smallest physical action. This is not about building a habit. This is about reclaiming your throne. The forging is not a metaphor anymore. It begins now with your next choice. Move. The war is not over, warrior. It has just begun. We have dragged your enemy out of the shadows and into the harsh light of the arena. You now know its name, the voice of rationalization. You know its strategy to drown you in the poison of comfort and delay. But you also know the fundamental law of this universe, the bedrock principle upon which your new life will be built. The will moves the flesh. Your feelings are not your commander. Your moods are not your master. You are the throne, and from this day forward, only your reasoned choice will sit upon it. This is the code of the Stoic warrior. It is not a set of beliefs. It is a system of command. You were not given a philosophy, you were handed a sword. That sword is the rule. Of first action, detect the enemy's whisper, isolate the smallest possible physical movement, execute without negotiation. This is not a trick to find motivation. It is a combat protocol to make motivation irrelevant. Let this be your new instinct, your automatic response to the siren song of weakness. The ghost in your head that has held you hostage for years, the one that builds logical empires of excuses, is terrified of this weapon. It cannot survive contact with the real world. It evaporates. At the sound of your own footsteps moving toward the battle, look at yourself now. The person who started this journey is dead. He was a slave to his own comfort, a prisoner of his good intentions. That person is gone. In his place stands a warrior. Your identity is no longer forged in what you plan to do, but in the cold, hard steel of what you do. You are no longer the person who hopes for discipline. You are the person who chooses it every single day, one defiant action at a time. The respect you have been chasing from the world is worthless. The only validation that matters is the one you earn from yourself in the quiet moments when no one is watching. The moment you choose the cold floor over the warm bed, the blank page over the distraction, the pain of growth over the ease of stagnation. So we end where we began, with a choice. You can leave this arena and allow the sickness of comfort to creep back in, reclaiming its throne. Or you can accept this final decree and let it be the guiding principle of your new life. Burn this into your soul, warrior. Let it be the last thing you think at night and the first command you issue in the morning. Here is the ultimate law of your existence. Excuses are treason. Action is loyalty. Your life is the kingdom. You either defend or betray. The choice is made. Now, prove it. If this battle has forged something new in you, go to the comments and write the shield phrase that will guide your next 24 hours. This is your public oath. Share this call to arms with another warrior who is trapped in the prison of their own excuses. Subscribe to this channel to continue sharpening your mind. The discipline is daily, the war is eternal. We will see you in the arena.